What's up again, WrestlingFigz fans, and we're back with another quick video, and we're going to be taking a look at two figures from the Entrance Greats line. Now the first of these two figures that we're going to be taking a look at is Goldberg. So I don't know all the ins and outs of this figure line, but obviously it's showcasing some of the greatest entrances in wrestling history. And obviously in WCW, Goldberg had one of the best, most memorable entrances of all time. Now first, looking at the packaging, we've got WWE Entrance Greats on the front here, and the name of the character, this one obviously being Goldberg. And the packaging is actually quite tall for this figure. It's not your standard kind of elite size. It's perhaps about the same size as the sort of like original elite packaging. The one that I said in the past is a bit too tall. But for these ones, it's not too bad. Taking a look at the side of the packaging, it's actually completely bare except from this little WWE logo at the very top here. So if you're going to be displaying some of your figures on the side like I have, then obviously when it comes to these Entrance Greats, you're not really going to know which figure it is until you pull the figure out and actually turn it around. So it would have been nice to have a little picture on the side here to say who this figure is, or even if it just said Goldberg down the side, that would have been a lot better than just this plain bare side here. On the back of the packaging, once again we've got Goldberg's name, you know, the figure that comes in the box, and we've got a nice cool little picture of the figure sort of in its entrance mode, so you get to see what Goldberg's entrance was like with the actual figure itself. Now on the other side of the packaging, as you can see, there is a little press here button, and we'll get to that in 2 seconds, but let's look at the figure itself. So if you can see in there, you can kind of see that Goldberg is standing on like an entrance ramp, and then you've got like the entrance behind him, so it is made to look like an entrance. As for the figure itself, I'm not actually a huge fan of this figure. Goldberg was actually one of my favorites, if not my actual favorite when I was growing up. I was more of a WCW fan than I was a WWF fan, and Bill Goldberg was my #1 guy. So when it came to getting a Goldberg figure, I didn't want to get the newer WWE Goldberg that came in those sort of like white and black shorts, or the one with the grey beard. I wanted the WCW version. And as far as I could tell, this Entrance Great figure was the only one of its kind. So if I found a standard elite WCW era Goldberg, I would have definitely got that instead of this, just because of the packaging and, you know, I like the smaller boxes, but this is what I had to make do with. But looking at the figure, like I said, I'm not really a big fan. The legs, to me, they look too tall, they look too thin. Obviously the gear he's wearing is fine, it's, you know, it's Goldberg, so the gear is nothing special, it's very standard. But those legs just look way too tall, way too thin. I really do not like the way this figure looks. As for the torso and the arms, Goldberg might have been a little bit bigger than this, but it's not too bad. I don't mind the hairy sort of chest and stomach look. The figure does have Goldberg's iconic tattoo, which is a really cool touch. As for the face scan, I'm not really big on that either. I can't tell what it is. There's just something not right about it, if you ask me. I'm not a big fan of this face. I don't really like the legs. It's all in all, this is not really a good figure, if you ask me. One thing it does come with is that big gold WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Although, taking an even closer look at it, as awesome and as detailed as it is, it does have the WWE logo on there. So it's not the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, which is a shame, but at the same time, it's a very, very small and minor detail, and it doesn't really take away anything from the figure itself. And like I said before in the past, having a figure that comes with a belt is a huge bonus. I love figures that come with belts. But this is an Entrance Great, so what makes an Entrance Great? Well, if you look closely in the box, Goldberg is standing on this little tiny podium thing that you can barely see in there, but if we were to press this button in there, Goldberg's theme music would actually play. Now I know that WWE loves to shut down videos that use their footage or use their music, so we're going to press the button, but we're not going to let it play for too long, but you'll get the gist of it. Once you press the button inside the box, we get a short clip of Goldberg's entrance theme, which is obviously the main selling point of these entrance greats. Now the figure itself isn't the best, but it's definitely something cool to have on your shelf if you're a fan of a certain wrestler that has one of these figures, and having that little music box in there is a really cool touch. So for that, you know, it gets like 1 thumb up. It could have had 2, but the figure wasn't very good, so it gets a thumb up and a thumbs down. Now the next entrance great figure that we're looking at is Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is one of my all-time favorites, but the time period where I really liked Angle was shortly after his debut. I believe he won the WWF Championship in his rookie year. He was the Intercontinental Champion. He was the European Champion at the same time, and I believe he was called the Eurocontinental Champion. He had some amazing matches with Benoit and Jericho, The Rock, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Triple H. He was such a great wrestler back in those days, so I wanted a figure of Kurt Angle that represented that time period, and again, just like Goldberg, the only one that I could find was this entrance greats line. Now the packaging obviously is the same as the Goldberg one, so we won't go too much into detail. Obviously there's nothing on the side. Like I said before, it would have been nice if they had Kurt Angle's name or a picture here so you can store it sideways. But the one thing that is different about this one, on the back of the box, the layout is slightly different. Again, we have a nice picture of Kurt Angle during his entrance and his name down the bottom here. But unlike Goldberg's packaging, this one actually tells you the theme song name, which is Metal, and the ring attire, which is his debut match, and the event, which was Survivor Series 1999. And not just that, also unlike the Goldberg figure, it also has a little bit of information at the bottom here, so you can pause that and have a read if you want. If not, we'll take a look at the figure itself, something that is slightly different than the Goldberg one. The Goldberg box has a little picture of a finger pointing in there to press the button. This one has the more classic try me, and we will press it in a minute and see what it sounds like. The figure itself comes in this really cool, eye-catching, classic Kurt Angle gear. The only accessories this one comes with are the medals. It may look like these medals are attached, but they actually are 2 separate medals. There's no actual detail on those medals, which is a shame. And if you look closely on my one, I do have a little golden blemish, but that's nothing too serious. But it would have been cool to have a little bit of detail on those medals. As for the face scan, I really like this one. I think it's a really good likeness of Kurt Angle. Like I said, this is the only one that I can find in the Elite form that is this old school Angle with all that full head of hair. You can get a figure with that face scan in the basic series. It does have a slightly different attire on, but you can get a basic version of this figure. Now one thing I will mention about these little music boxes at the bottom there, when you originally buy these, you press the button and it only plays a couple of seconds of the theme song. But if you put your finger right underneath the actual thing, if you was to push your finger underneath there, you'll feel a little switch, and if you click that, then press the button, it'll play longer. Because when the figure's on the shelf, it's set to that kind of like battery saving mode where it only plays a few seconds of the song. So if you do get an entrance great figure and you're wondering why it only plays a few seconds of the song, like I said, put your finger right underneath there, turn that switch and then press it and you should be fine. Again, WWE might take this video down because they're petty like that, but we're going to press that button anyway and see what Kurt Angle's music sounds like. Now, unlike the Goldberg figure, I really do like this Kurt Angle, so it gets a thumbs up for the box and a thumbs up for the figure. This one is way better than the Goldberg figure. As a fan, I preferred Goldberg. Of course, Kurt Angle is a superior wrestler, but in figure form, this Kurt Angle wins. So there you have it, guys. A quick look at 2 entrance great elites, Goldberg and Kurt Angle. This line is actually defunct now. I don't think they make these anymore. I believe the original series had basic figures in there. They weren't elites. And then series 2, and if there was more, they changed it to the elite style. But what do you guys think? Are you a fan of this Goldberg? Do you like this Kurt Angle? Are you a fan of the entrance great lines? You let me know in the comments. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. And don't forget to subscribe for more WrestlingFigz.